Here is a discussion with a pastor that believes that God had to punish Jesus for our sins on the cross to be able to save us.
Can you please tell me why you believe God had to punish Jesus on the cross for our sins?
God is holy and just, and this meant that he had to punish sins through death in order to save us.
If this is so, then the dilemma that humans really faced for their sins is God's justice.
I think you are playing with my words.
I am just trying to clarify what you are saying. Do you mean that God's justice demanded that man had to die for their sins?
Yes.
So the executioner for our sins is in fact God?
Well, yes.
So when sin entered the human race, the dilemma they faced was the justice of God. Right?
Yes, because God's justice could not tolerate sin, and therefore, he had to enforce the death sentence.
Well, this can only mean that the obstacle that humans faced was the justice of God, because it demanded that they had to die.
Yes.
Would it be correct to conclude, then, that God sent Jesus to die on the cross to satisfy and uphold his justice?
That's exactly why Jesus had to die for us all. God's justice demanded that sin must be punished through death, and so, God transferred all our sins onto Jesus, and then punished him through death as a substitute for us all. And it was in this way that God was able to forgive us.
So this can only mean that the dilemma that humans faced when Adam sinned was the justice of God. God's justice demanded that all die because they sinned in Adam. Right?
Well, when you put it like that, then yes. Jesus had to die because God's justice demanded it.
So mankind's dilemma, which had to be dealt with, was God's justice. Right?
Yes, I suppose so.
So Jesus died because of God's justice. It was God himself that had to be dealt with for man to be forgiven.
Yes.
So, the cross is the solution to the dilemma man faced, and this dilemma was God himself. His justice. Right?
Well, as much as I do not like the sound of this, this is exactly why Jesus had to die.
All this is based on the assumption that God's justice demands that sins be punished with death. Right?
Of course. God's justice must punish sins in order to be real justice.
What if divine justice is not about punishment, but healing? Wouldn't this change the way you would understand the cross?
Yes. But the Bible is clear. Divine justice is retributive. Someone must pay for sins through the death penalty.
Can we have a look at divine justice and test this assumption?
Folks, want to see more of the discussion? Join us for part 2.